Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I welcome you all in AppSec's online support and assignments tutorial for week 4. I am Zubia Razak from APS Jagdhamni. The grade is 7 and subject is history. You must have window to world history, basic stationery and gadgets. Contents include day-wise breakup, objectives, chief characteristics of feudalism, the end of feudalism, the Byzantine Empire, relationships with the neighboring countries. Recipe is chapter number 1, the medieval world, rise and fall of Roman Empire. Objective is at the end of this week you would be able to understand about the chief characteristics of feudalism, the end of feudalism, the Byzantine Empire, relationships with the neighboring countries from textbook pages 9 to 11. Now it's time to share the task 1. For those students who don't have their textbooks right now, I have shared the textbook pages 9 to 11. Feudalism is the dominant social system in medieval Europe in which the nobility held lands from the crown in exchange for the military service and vassals were in turn tenants of the nobles. Vassals are holders of land by feudal tenure on conditions of homage and loyalty. And tenant is a person who occupies land or property rented from a landlord. Here is feudal society. Chief characteristics of feudalism. The kings received taxes, military aid, and sometimes food from their vassals. The peasants in return were protected by the crown. It means that there was a give and take strategy. Loyalty was very important in the system. The lands were not given at one place to avoid the threat of rebellions. All parts of feudal system, from the crown to peasants, depended on each other. The king was answerable only to the church. The church was also granted a large piece of land since the church was an independent institution. It did not pay tax to the king. The decline of feudalism. From 14th century onwards, it became weakened. The Black Death spread throughout Europe, killing more than a quarter of Europe in 1347, which caused severe shortage of labor. The growing power of monarchy and nobility led to rebellion by the peasants as they wanted to liberate themselves. By the end of 13th century, commerce evolved and coin money was established. Hence, specific lords could pay money instead of performing military services for king. By the end of 13th century, commerce evolved and coin money was established, so trading activities flourished and peasants moved to towns where they were free to make a living of their own choice. The nobles became weaker, hence their land and power was lost. The soldiers were paid wages and a centralized government was established. Now it's time to share the home tasks for the day. 1. Reading and memorizing significant concepts from textbook pages 9 to 10. Write the chief characteristics of feudalism. List the reasons for the decline of feudalism on loose sheets. Day 1 tasks completed. Alhamdulillah. Now it's time to share the tasks for the day 2. To understand about the Byzantine Empire, the Roman Emperor Constantine's decision to move his capital had enhanced its worth as it became the center of Roman Empire. The Byzantine Empire and its importance. Byzantium was a former Greek town in the east with an important geographical location. All the important trade routes passed through it and the ships that are used to anchor there paid heavy taxes. Constantine rebuilt Byzantium and fortified it with defensive walls and towers. He renamed the city Constantinople, the greatest empire with its rich culture lasted for a millennium after the fall of Western Roman Empire in 5th century CE. Relationships with neighboring countries and this empire was invaded repeatedly. As this prosperous and economically strong empire was located on the main sea trade route, it had strong diplomatic ties with other countries. It faced attacks of invaders and passed through the periods of losses and gains. During the early Muslim conquests, it lost Egypt and Syria. Between 10th to 11th century, it was defeated by Seljuk Turks. After the Fourth Crusade, the Byzantine Empire could not recover. In 1453, Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II attacked Byzantium and ended Europe's long-lasting rule on the empire. This started the golden period of Ottoman Empire in this region. Now it's time to share the home tasks for the day 2. Reading and memorizing significant concepts of textbook pages 10 to 11. State the reason for the importance of Byzantine Empire. Why Byzantine Empire was invaded repeatedly. You have to write the questions and answers on loose sheets. Day 2 tasks completed. Alhamdulillah. Thank you and have a nice day.